I'm Lucy, and I'm at Lucy Bentley Yoga. So we're going to do a little prenatal yoga today for back pain specifically. If you have a thick hard back book or any blocks, dog is optional. And a lovely thing to use as well is your pregnancy pillow. So we're going to start by using our pregnancy pillow to stack our hips nice and high. Bring the legs to cross. I like to cross them the way I wouldn't normally cross them, just to mix it up a little bit, open up through those hips. And you're going to start by stretching out the side body, but just being mindful to lift away from the sit bone, because we have a tendency to dump down and that can start to really put pressure on the back. Extending that left arm and reaching that right arm overhead and feeling that lovely side stretch. Now when you're doing this, imagining that pinky is rotating down towards the mat. So you're high-fiving the mat. Relax the shoulder and then inch that left hand away from your body, so sliding it away from you. And then start to try to draw that right hip down into the pillow. And then if you want, looking up, if that's okay on your neck. And if you want, you can just shut down the eyes. Start to breathe into the side body. Relax the shoulders and the jaw. And then pull that right elbow to the back of the room. So you're now opening up through that right rib cage. Good, one more breath. And then exhale to push yourself back up slowly. We're going to do the other side. So reach that arm down, pressing into the mat, lifting that left arm overhead. Breathe, exhale to sink lower. And then magnetize that left sit bone towards the mat. So try not to lift up away, but push it down. And then if you want, looking up. And then pull that left elbow to the back of the room. Breathe into the side body. Two more breaths. And then exhale out to reach back to center. This time interlace the fingers and then extend them out. So the fingers are pointing outwards and then round the back and then pull the chin to the chest. So you should feel a nice opening through the back of the body, up around the neck. And then start to feel your navel pulling in slightly towards the spine, which will in return open up through the back a little more. Exhale, inhale, and then exhale out back to center. A couple of hip circles as well is a really lovely thing to do. So placing the hands on tops of the knees, rolling through the hips. And again, be mindful to relax through the shoulders and the face and use that breath to move you in your circles. Even Benji's relaxed. You can close down the eyes here. And if you want, you can always place your hands on your baby as you're moving through these circles and start to move circles around your belly in a circular motion, perhaps going the other way now. And start to really come inwards. Turn your attention inside rather than to the external. Few more breaths here, wherever you're at, being mindful. And then back to center. So you're going to come onto all fours now. Releasing the back with a couple of cat-cows. So removing your pillow, placing it to one side. And then following through with your cat-cows, just making sure that your knees are hip-width distance apart and that they're stacked directly over the hips, like so. So making sure knee and hip. The toes can be untucked or tucked, up to you. If you have knee issues, just placing a pillow, a folded up blanket underneath, or folding up your mat if you have one. Placing the hands so that the wrists are directly under the shoulders and that the fingertips are spread wide, okay? So you're pressing down into all the pads of the fingers. And then dropping the navel towards the ground. So your belly drops, you arch your back slightly. You don't dump into the back too much. You just want to have that slight pelvic lift and tilt. And then broaden the collarbones, looking forward on your inhale. On your exhale, rounding the back, so push the floor away, doming, and bring the chin to the chest, as we did just now, sitting. And again, exhaling out, arching the back and looking forward. Good, so keep doing these, using the breath to really guide you through the movement again, starting to turn your attention inwards to the internal. Pressing firmly into those fingers and into the pads of the hands. A couple more in your own breath. Great job. And then if you want to add a little bit more, start to do a couple of hip circles here as well. So again, if you do have any issues, perhaps use something under them because you're pressing down a bit more than you would. Otherwise, if you don't want to do these, just carry on with your cat-cows, but find a movement that's organic to you. And then we're going to come into our tabletop, placing the forearms onto the mat. So pressing down again, you want to make sure that your elbow is in line with your shoulder, that your dog isn't in the way. And then we're dropping the head here. So you want to tuck the toes if they're not already tucked. And we're going to do the same kind of movement with our cat-cows, but on our forearms. And just make sure that your fingertips and your pads of the hands are pressing down into the mat still. That's it. So round and arch the back by Benji, chin to chest. Inhale, exhale. Find that fluid movement. And now, can you start on your exhalation to lift up through your pelvic floor? So this is what stops the flow of urine. Obviously, I'm sure you've been working on these with your pregnancy to have a strong pelvic floor post-labor. But also, even if you do have a cesarean, it's important to work on your pelvic floor because obviously the pressure of the baby pushes down and starts to really loosen that muscle. So we always want to keep working on that. So exhale, inhale, and then exhale one more time. So lifting through that pelvic floor. You should feel the core turning on a little bit here and back to center. Slowly bring yourself back up onto your hands. And this time I'll just inch forward a little bit. We're going to extend that right leg back. And then you're just going to flip to the left. And then just bring that left foot out slightly. Pressing the foot firmly into the mat on the right foot and then reaching that right arm up. So as you can see, my shoulders are stacking on top of each other. The fingertips are spread wide on that left hand and the hands are really spread wide on top of that right hand as well. Lifting up through that hip on the side and then reaching that right arm over as we did to start. The pinky is rotating towards the mat and you're lifting up through that spine. Feel that lovely side stretch. And you're trying to imagine that you're pulling the right fingers away from the right toes. They're trying to expand away from each other. Exhale back to center and reset. So we're going to do the other side. I'm sorry, I have my back to you, but keeping the hands where they are, flip to the right, that left foot presses into the mat, and then you're reaching that left arm up. And then feel that string pulling that left sit bone up, and then exhale to open up that left arm. Reaching up, magnetizing the inner elbows in towards the top of the rib cage, pushing that floor away, relax the shoulders. One more breath, and then exhaling back to center. And we're going to come into a wide-legged child's pose now. So bringing the knees wider than the mat, big toes come to touch behind you. If this is not available to you, it's a really lovely thing to just bring one of the pillows underneath your sit bone to add that extra height. And so your options here are to come down onto your wide leg and place the forehead onto the mat And you want to have those forearms lifting up off of the mat. So your arms are still active here. Or alternatively, you can bring your pillow underneath your baby, nice and comfy here so your belly doesn't feel like it's hanging too much. And then expand those arms forward, drop the forehead. Close down the eyes, relax the face. And so where you are here, you want to try and imagine that your sit bones are still trying to reach for the back of the heels. That's the most important thing in this pose, is that you are pulling the hands away from you, but your sit bones are trying to magnetize themselves to the heel. There's a lot going on in this pose, and obviously it's a really great way to release the lower back as well. Let's do 2 more breaths here. Really noticing that rib cage expanding. And last breath out. Slowly inch your way forward, backward, and then come into sit. So this is coming into, it's like a reverse plank, but it's a crab, but it's a great one, especially in the final trimester. It's a great way of lifting up through that pelvic floor when there's a lot of pelvic heaviness. And so what you're going to do is you're going to bring the feet out in front of you, so they're hip width distance apart, bending through the knees here in a V shape. And then your fingertips are coming in towards your sit bones, and then really start to pull those elbows in towards each other, so you're opening up through that heart space. You're lengthening through the back, and the crown of the head is lifting up towards the sky. Taking a breath in. Exhale, start to lift the sit bones up towards the sky. Now, if you don't have any neck issues, drop your head back, otherwise staying here. If you drop your head back, really start to feel that opening in the chest. Push the floor away, and then imagine that your big toes are trying to magnetize towards each other. Then you want to imagine as well that your sit bones are lifting higher away, so that you want to have the thigh bones parallel to the mat. Let's do 1 more breath. Exhale to sit down. Good job. So now we're coming with our legs wider than the mat, so bringing them out to the corner, the edges of the mat, placing the hands by the sides, and we're going to windscreen wipe the legs, so we're opening through the inner thighs. I'll just kind of show you in this, bringing the legs to the left, dropping open. And again, please open up through that heart space. You want to keep the spine nice and long, and try not to put too much weight into the hands and the wrists here. So you're still using the strength of the core and the strength in your shoulders and your chest to push you up. Exhale, swapping sides, dropping to the right, or if you were on the right, dropping to the left. So I'll just come back to the side. That's it. And then just doing this 1 more time on either side. Again, keeping the spine really long, growing tall through the crown of the head. Drop to the right, and then exhale back to center. So we're going to lift through again 1 more time on the crab. So placing the feet hip width distance apart, a nice V-shaped bend through the legs, placing the fingertips pointing inwards. Roll the shoulder blades back, taking a breath in, and then exhale to lift up through those sit bones, squeeze the glutes, and if you want, drop the head. It's a great strengthening pose. Push the feet into the ground. Last breath here. Exhale to drop down. Fantastic. So we're coming into butterfly. So bringing the soles of the feet together. I'll show you like this. And if you want here, you're very welcome to bring the pillow underneath your sit bones again to lift you up a little bit higher. Otherwise, bring the soles of the feet together, placing the hands so that the thumbs are pulling the feet apart, as if you're trying to open a book. And doing this is actually going to start strengthening through the arms as well. So you're still active in this pose. Nice and tall again through the spine, crown of the head pulling up. Inhale to reach up, and then shine your heart forward over the feet. Exhale, dropping down. And if you want to drop the head, please do. Now, if you don't have as much room because baby is growing really big, you can always extend the legs out a little further. But just being mindful here to shine the heart forward rather than rounding in the back. One more breath. Good job. So coming back up into center. And so we're going to extend the right leg out and bring the left leg in to the side of the right leg. And again, we're going to open up through the side body. Again, a really lovely way of releasing through that lower back. So you can place the right forearm onto the mat and the left arm extends over. Or you can place it around the ankle or the shin. And then taking a breath, exhale, opening that left arm around you, either to reach the small of your back or to wrap around the top of that right thigh. Just being mindful again to open up through that left rib cage and that left shoulder. Looking up. And then point the toes on the right foot. Feel the difference in the strength in the leg and the stretch. And then flex. Let's do that 2 more times. So point, exhale. Inhale to flex. Exhale, point. Inhale to flex. And lifting up slowly, unraveling from where you were, and then swapping sides. So left leg extends out, right leg to the inside of the left thigh. Again, reaching that left arm to the inside or around the ankle, really wherever you want to go, and then that right arm reaches up. Take a breath, and then exhale to wrap the small of the back or around the top of the thigh. And then taking a breath, exhale to point, inhale to flex. Exhale to point, don't know if you can see my toes. Exhale to flex. Good, 2 more like this. Relax the face and back up to center. So just finishing off our practice, we can come back into a seat. Obviously, please feel free to do these poses for a longer period of time, to hold them along longer, so a bit of yin yoga, or to practice this a couple of times back to back, so each pose in sequence repeated. You can, if you have any blocks, bring them underneath your sit bone for the final part of the practice. Really lovely way to lift up through the hips. Of course, having your pillow is a great way too. And we're just going to shine the legs forward again. Bring the knees inwards and then drop to the side. So we're not dropping them to the floor this time because we're lifting up through our block. And it should have a different sensation in the opening of the hips. And then exhale to the other side. Bring the knees to the other side. So I can feel this one is quite lifted on there. So try to bring that sit bone down again. And it's not about how far you go. It's about that stretch. And again, growing nice and tall through the spine. And back. And release. So again, with your hips, bringing the legs into cross. With your hips, obviously, they will affect the pain if you have any in your lower back. So the tighter your hips, the worse your back pain should be. So you do want to try and open those hips as much as you can. And I'll be doing another class about that soon. Otherwise, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope your babies are behaving in there. And I'm really excited to do some more classes with you, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.